Shock unfolded on Weverse just 14 minutes ago when Kim Taehyung, better known as V of BTS, sent a message to Jungkook that immediately set off a wave of emotional reactions among ARMY worldwide. What stunned fans even more was not only Jungkook's visible response, but also Jin's sudden tears after reading Taehyung's words. The moment has sparked a storm of questions. What exactly did Taehyung say, and why did it move both Jungkook and Jin so deeply? The event unfolded with no prior warning. Taehyung appeared briefly during a live Weverse interaction, leaving fans unprepared for the gravity of his message. His words were not long, nor filled with grand declarations. Yet the impact was instant. Jungkook, who was visibly shaken, could not hold back his emotions. As his reaction spread online within minutes, the scene grew even more intense when Jin himself, who has often been seen as the pillar of stability among the members, was captured wiping away tears. This unprecedented overlap of raw emotions from three of BTS's most beloved figures has left the fandom restless and desperate for answers. Observers who watched the moment unfold note that Taehyung's message carried a tone of profound sincerity. Though short, it appeared directed specifically at Jungkook, as if acknowledging an unspoken burden or a private moment the two have shared. The immediate question on everyone's mind is, why would such a simple message trigger such overwhelming responses? Why would Jungkook cry so openly, and why would Jin, normally the one to comfort the younger members, find himself overwhelmed as well? The sequence of reactions has raised further speculation. ARMY began asking in online forums whether Jin's tears were triggered by empathy for Jungkook, or whether Taehyung's words carried a meaning that resonated with Jin personally. Some have even wondered whether the message touched on matters Jin has kept private since his return from military service, moments that may remain invisible to the public but deeply felt within the group. The timing of the exchange only adds to the tension, as ARMY pointed out the absence of other members in the conversation, amplifying the spotlight on the trio involved. What makes this moment so compelling is the delicate intersection of roles within BTS. Jin, often seen as the elder brother, has been the one to console the others in their moments of fragility. Jungkook, the youngest, has never hidden his emotional side, but his tears this time seemed different. Less about his own struggles, more about the weight of someone else's words. And Taehyung, who is usually playful and reserved, chose this moment to deliver something so piercing that it broke through the public facade of his bandmates. This dynamic has set ARMY abuzz. On social platforms, fans are dissecting every second of the broadcast, analyzing body language, pauses, and even Jin's silence after the message. Was there a hidden meaning in Taehyung's tone? Was Jungkook's breakdown connected to a private struggle that Taehyung acknowledged publicly? Was Jin's reaction a reflection of unspoken tensions or a shared memory resurfacing? Each theory brings more questions, and none bring clarity. Compounding the mystery is the mention of Jin's prayer for Jungkook, a topic that has resurfaced repeatedly among fans since the broadcast. Many believe that Jin's emotions were tied to words he had previously spoken about Jungkook, perhaps a blessing or hope that carried more weight than fans realized. Could it be that Taehyung's message echoed or reinforced that sentiment? Could Jin's tears have been a reaction to seeing his own wishes for Jungkook manifest in such a direct and vulnerable way? The situation has left ARMY reflecting on the nature of the bond between the members. Jungkook's visible breakdown suggests that Jin's earlier prayer for him continues to resonate deeply, perhaps reminding him of the sacrifices and silent support he has received from his elder. Taehyung's timing in delivering his message, just when Jin's prayer still lingered in the hearts of fans, appears to have struck a chord too powerful to ignore. There is also a layer of urgency in the way fans are interpreting the absence of the other members. Why were RM, Jimin, Suga, and J-Hope not present or visible during the exchange? Was it simply coincidence? Or did Taehyung intentionally choose a moment when only Jungkook and Jin would be affected? The speculation grows with every passing minute, with fans questioning whether this was a private matter inadvertently made public, or a deliberate act meant to reach Jungkook directly. Jin's tears are particularly significant in this context. Known for his composure and steady demeanor, he rarely breaks down publicly. His decision to allow his emotions to be visible suggests a moment of honesty too heavy to conceal. That choice has only deepened the emotional weight of the broadcast, signaling that what Taehyung said was not trivial. If the message was powerful enough to reduce Jin to tears, fans are left wondering whether its meaning extends beyond personal bonds into something larger, perhaps an acknowledgement of struggles, regrets, or unspoken gratitude within the group. Theories now swirl about what Jin might have prayed for Jungkook. Was it health, peace, or strength to endure the pressures he faces? And if Jungkook cried so intensely upon hearing those words, does it mean he has been silently battling something fans are unaware of? The overlap of Jin's prayer, Jungkook's tears, and Taehyung's message creates a web of emotional signals that ARMY is still trying to untangle. Despite the unanswered questions, one fact is certain: this was not a performance. The rawness of the emotions displayed left no room for pretense. ARMY members across the globe, many of whom have followed BTS through countless milestones, recognized instantly that what they were witnessing was a moment of truth, a fracture in the usually polished surface, revealing something deeply human and profoundly moving. For now, the silence that follows is almost deafening. Jungkook has not elaborated, Jin has not explained his tears, and Taehyung has not clarified his intent. Yet in that silence lies the strength of the bond that fans have always admired. Words are often unnecessary when emotions are this powerful. The unanswered questions may linger, but they only underscore the depth of what ARMY witnessed. The impact of this event will not fade quickly. Just 14 minutes was enough to create a storm that continues to grow with every passing second. Fans will analyze, speculate, and search for meaning, but perhaps the most significant truth lies not in deciphering the message itself, but in recognizing the unbreakable bond between Jungkook, Jin, and Taehyung. A bond that even the smallest words can ignite into tears powerful enough to reach millions. The emotional collision between Taehyung's words, Jungkook's tears, and Jin's prayer has become one of the most dissected moments in BTS's recent history. To understand why ARMY is gripped with tension, one must carefully trace the overlapping narratives that unfolded within those few minutes. It was not a spectacle built for show, but a sudden rupture of sincerity that pierced through the polished surface BTS often maintains in public. Jungkook's tears in particular have left fans unsettled. This is not the first time the youngest member of BTS has cried in front of ARMY, but there was a distinct difference in the way his emotions manifested this time. His breakdown seemed tied less to a moment of stage exhaustion or gratitude, and more to something that was spoken directly to him. It was as if Taehyung's words unlocked a weight he had been carrying quietly. His shoulders visibly trembled, his eyes filled quickly, and no amount of composure could hold back the flood of emotion. This raw exposure of vulnerability has reignited old discussions within the fandom. How much do the members endure privately, and how often do they suppress their struggles until a single word or gesture makes the silence impossible to maintain? For Jin, the situation took on another dimension. He had previously prayed for Jungkook, an act that, though simple in phrasing, held profound meaning. Fans recall how Jin has often positioned himself as the guardian of the group, the one who offers encouragement when others falter. His prayer, according to ARMY's interpretation, was not merely a ritualistic gesture, but a declaration of concern and hope for Jungkook's future. When Taehyung delivered his message, the overlap between Jin's earlier prayer and the reality of Jungkook's tears may have become too much for Jin himself to bear. His own tears were a reflection not only of empathy, but also of the heavy responsibility he feels as the eldest, one who has prayed for his younger member and then watched him break down moments later. Taehyung's role in this triangle of emotions is perhaps the most enigmatic. Known for his artistic depth and ability to communicate through subtle expressions, his decision to send such a message in a public forum carries significance. Why now? Why in this exact moment? His tone was not flamboyant, nor was it playful. It was measured, pointed, and saturated with sincerity. It was not designed to entertain ARMY, but to reach Jungkook directly. That choice has raised questions. Did Taehyung see something in Jungkook's recent demeanor that compelled him to speak? Was it a continuation of a private conversation that the public only glimpsed at its most fragile point? Or was it a deliberate effort to reassure Jungkook while also allowing ARMY to witness the depth of their bond? What magnifies the tension is the absence of the other members. Fans cannot ignore the silence of RM, Suga, J-Hope, and Jimin during this critical exchange. Their absence does not necessarily imply detachment, but it does emphasize how intensely the spotlight has shifted onto Taehyung, Jungkook, and Jin. Without the balance of other voices, the emotional gravity becomes more concentrated, leaving ARMY to speculate in an echo chamber of unanswered questions. Did the other members intentionally choose silence out of respect? Or was this truly an unplanned moment that unfolded too quickly for anyone else to intervene? The power of this incident lies in its unanswered questions. Every fan who witnessed it is now left with fragments: Jungkook's uncontrollable tears, Jin's prayer turned into sobs, and Taehyung's brief but piercing words. Together, They create a puzzle that may never be fully explained. Yet perhaps that is the very reason this moment resonates so deeply. It does not offer resolution, only raw truth. From a psychological perspective, moments like this reveal the human fragility behind global fame. BTS has spent more than a decade under relentless public scrutiny, celebrated for their resilience and unity. But when the facade cracks and emotions spill into the open, the depth of their relationships becomes undeniable. Jungkook's tears show the weight of expectations borne by the youngest. Jin's prayer and subsequent tears reveal the silent responsibility carried by the eldest. Taehyung's message becomes the bridge that connects both ends of that spectrum, forcing vulnerabilities to surface in real time. Fans across the world are now asking the same questions with unrelenting intensity. What did Jin truly pray for Jungkook that has left him so shaken? Why did Jungkook cry so violently when Taehyung's message reached him? What was hidden in the silence that followed? And perhaps most haunting of all, was this only a glimpse of a deeper struggle that BTS continues to face behind closed doors? The implications for ARMY are profound. For years, fans have celebrated BTS not only as musicians, but as brothers bound by unbreakable ties. This incident does not shatter that narrative. Instead, it strengthens it. By exposing their vulnerabilities, Jin, Jungkook, and Taehyung have reminded millions of fans that their bond is not maintained by perfection, but by honesty, empathy, and the willingness to weep openly for one another. The image of Jin wiping away tears while Jungkook broke down will not soon be forgotten. Nor will the haunting brevity of Taehyung's message, delivered without spectacle yet powerful enough to fracture composure. In just 14 minutes, the group reminded the world that even the strongest bonds can bend under the weight of emotion, and that sincerity cannot be hidden when the stakes are this high. What remains now is silence, speculation, and the collective heartbeat of ARMY waiting for clarity. But perhaps the true meaning of this event does not lie in answers at all. Perhaps it lies in the unspoken recognition that, in their most fragile state, BTS remains united not by appearances, but by the willingness to bear each other's burdens, even when it brings tears to those who once seemed unshakable.